Hello, everyone. I'm Keith Bryant, and welcome back to another episode of the Keeping Up with Keith interview series. I have a great guest today. He is the future of journalism. I met him when I was an intern at NBC4 Los Angeles, and he's doing great work as a student journalist at USC. He is a junior, a rising senior, and he is the next Tom Llamas because I told him that he is that. So today we are keeping up with Gianmarco Velasquez. Hello, Gianmarco.
Hey, Keith, thank you so much for having me on your show, man. It's a pleasure, and it's really an honor to even be considered to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So you are a junior right now at USC in their Annenberg journalism program. So tell me, how did you get the bug for journalism? Why did you want to pursue this career?
It's a great question, man. So I think it really comes back to my childhood. I grew up, watching television news. I was an avid watcher of, first of all, Spanish language TV news, your Telemundo, your Univision. My parents are immigrants from El Salvador, so for me, having the cultural connection, our parents and my family gravitated towards Spanish language news. It's something that catered to us. That was not only cultural news, community news, international news, but stuff that really builds you up and can provide a lot of insight into what it's like to be here for immigrant communities, right? And then through that, I had a love, like this affinity for like the TV and seeing how these journalists like just did amazing work. I'm a visual learner. I've always been since a kid. So seeing that was always something that was attractive to me. And then beyond that, as I grew older, I started watching English channels. I started getting more involved in politics and understanding the importance of it because we live in this country, a country that is very has a strong political culture. Learning to be a little bit more literate with those political themes and understanding the way that they impact us is vital, right? When I went to middle school, I was a really good reader, really good writer. I love to read, I love to write, and obviously those are all fundamental skills, as you know, Keith, to be a great journalist in whatever medium. Right? Reading and writing are those fundamentals that you got to have down. So for me, it was a love for that and a love for storytelling, of course, like everybody, like every journalist, that really propelled me to want to pursue a career. When I got to my senior year of high school, it was a no-brainer for me. I knew I wanted to be a journalist, and not only that, I knew I wanted to be a journalist here at USC in LA. I'm originally from San Francisco, California, born and raised. So being from a big city and having family in Southern California and seeing how the culture was like here, I knew I had to be here as the media capital of the US, practically. Yeah.
No, that's awesome. And so, I grew up in journalism during a time where we did not have social media. It was just like starting, the
Right.
Facebooks, the Instagrams. But now, fast forward to today, you are literally, learning about Instagram, Facebook, X, Blue Sky, using more mobile tools for journalism. So, how is, learning that, how are you, adapting to that curve of social media into journalism?
It's a great question. I think it's a question that's super relevant because social media, there's this notion that the business is always changing, right? Things are changing and there's different platforms and all this stuff. But I think for me, like social media is not the future of journalism. It's the present. Like it's what is happening right now. And as journalists, we have to go with the time. So for me, it's a phenomenal experience starting academically. Like I'm taking two classes right now, Latinx storytelling on social media and a really intriguing class. It's called Bridging the Gap Between Independent Journalists and Influencers. And it's a beautiful class. It's actually co-taught by Javier Cabral, the editor of LA Taco. And it's teaching us how to do the hybrid reporting style that they have, which is digital articles and that being their forte, long form, but also every article has a social video attached to it, right? Social video has the really unique ability to have a really broad audience. You could have a humongous reach, more so than any TV could have potentially. And I think we're at a crossroads where social media has probably exceeded, if not met, the viewership that television has and network news has, and the visibility is super powerful. I think that social content, albeit a little bit shorter and a little bit more rushed and a little bit more, scrollable and clickable and hooky, I think it has a really powerful, it's really powerful because it can engage a lot of people. And I think it can reach a broader audience, which is really important. But I think the importance of it and what I've learned in classes and in practice as well is the importance of adhering to journalistic standards, right? You have to have the ethics in mind, the morals that make you a journalist. Can't abandon that. That's the same thing. It doesn't matter if you're on Instagram, on TikTok, or whatever. Those same standards apply and they must be met. And you should respect them. Currently, I'm still an intern at NBC4 and Telemundo 52. I work with Asalia Iniguez, an amazing boss. And when I was onboarded for the current role that I'm at, which is the investigative and consumer unit, I was tasked with launching a social media series practically with Asalia, where we take a
Oh,
lot of the great stories that she does, which are consumer affairs, investigative stories, stuff that people already gain so much from, and translating that into a social media content, into social media platform, a video, vertical video that was native to social media. And it's not as simple as you know, probably as taking a package that's, what, a minute 30, 2 minutes, and
yes.
putting it onto socials. It's not the same thing. It's a different hook, a different language, a different writing. It's a little bit more simple and more digestible. So my task throughout the summer and currently has been taking all the wealth of information that we provide with Responde and with the investigative unit and translate that to social media because we've gotten so much of a turnout. I think my boss is telling me that she has people who comment. They're like, "Wow, this helped me. This is super accessible. This information is relevant to me." That happened to me last week, and if I would have seen this before then, I would have known. Or even, right now the company just hit 1 billion views on all socials and digital platforms,
Yes.
which is a big deal. It shows the immense viewership and the potential for growth, and it's a really exciting time. And I think that me myself being in the forefront of this and having the opportunity to learn and form myself in this transitional period is super exciting.
No, that's great, and that's why I said you are gonna be the next Tanya because you are doing the work. If any hiring managers, please hire him after he graduates in 2 years. Please do. I expect nothing less. When I first met you, just how impressed I was of the knowledge and the passion and the work ethic. And you're doing bilingual journalism and doing so much more, and you're very involved with the National Hispanic Journalists Association. So you're doing that. Um, just just great work, and it shows up on television. I'm gonna root for you. I'm gonna gas you up because it's the truth. You're doing work that journalists are getting paid to do, but you're getting well, you're, intern, but just, you're still getting the, exposure to the real world, and it's very impressive. Like, I expect market 30 or above, nothing less,
Thank you
nothing
so much.
less.
It means a
Yes.
lot, man, taking me back to the days where we used to work. I used to work Sundays with you, man, and being there and having that exposure, like you said, it's priceless, man. It really is.
Yes, and I wanna talk about because you're out in the field. I mean, you are a student journalist. You are just like, I saw you recently with Jacob Soboroff,
Yeah.
reporting on immigration. And I know that's an issue that you care about deeply, very passionate about. So tell me about that. I mean, what makes you just to go out, you're a college student. You just, play your PS5 all day and do nothing. But on your off time, you're going out reporting stories in the community. So what keeps you going to do that?
That's a great question, man. I don't know, for me, I think the reporter gig has always been something that was attractive to me, right? In order to truly understand something, understand a community, a people, a concept, whatever the case may be, and effectively distill that and disseminate that, which is what our job is as journalists, and inform people, you have to be informed yourself. And the best way to be informed in my experience, in my practice, in my 21 years of life has been to get out there and be in the streets, be in the field, right? And I've always had that attraction. It's really magnetic to me. I love to be out and about. I love to do the dirty work and interview people and talk to people and get my hands dirty because I think at the end of the day, like being immersed in whatever topic I'm learning, whether that's a certain community, a neighborhood, or a religion, whatever the case may be, understanding that you have to be there. And I think that part of journalism is always called to me. I think also when you think of a reporter's job, it's no days are alike. Literally, like I talked to one of my biggest inspirations at two is this guy by the name of Raymond Mesa. Raymond Mesa is a legend in LA, and he's been here for a long time. And he has a long history of being a reporter. He's an amazing guy. And he tells me, like, I've worked in this for so long and no day has been alike. And that monotony that a lot of the jobs had, that day to day, like 9 to 5, clock in, clock out, it doesn't exist for journalism, man. It's never a dull moment and it's never a day that repeats itself. There's so many things to do, so many topics to cover. And I think that sort of like bounciness and like ADHD core stuff, I love it. It fits into who I am and what I like to do. I have a lot of energy. I talk a lot. I never shut up, but
Yes.
you have to have that, man. Like it's fun, and especially like there's that adrenaline rush, that hit that you get when you're out there witnessing history at the forefront. I most recently, like my biggest learning and biggest experiences on that you mentioned in immigration. The whole summer I was out at the No Kings protests. I saw the ones in June and July, and how most recently in the month of October just seeing how these things manifest themselves to me and being at the, on the ground, boots on the ground in the street. I mean, there's no other way to learn. There's no other way to get that raw experience and know how to handle what it is to be in that high pressure situation and still be able to process what's happening and document it and distill it and relate it. I think that it's the best training that you can have. And theory is great, academics are great, of course, and a lot of the great journalists will tell you that, but practice is unmatched for sure.
How are you balancing this? Walk me through your day as you're as a student at USC going to internships, doing other stuff on the side. Like, describe your day to me.
Yeah, so my day depends. As of right now, I intern Mondays and Fridays. My boss, Asalenigues, a tremendous mentor, tremendous inspiration, truly one of the most talented journalists that I know. Caring, loving, amazing woman, really, really great teacher. She's really flexible. So I work Mondays and Fridays, along with Juan Guerra. Juan Guerra, legend at Telemundo 52 and NBC4, one of the best photographer, best video journalists out there. Very flexible. So I work Mondays and Fridays. It's 10 to 6, pretty standard. And then my classes are during the week. I will say I'm a junior right now. I really made an effort my first 2 years of college to kind of grind and take as many units as possible to have the free time now that I'm an upperclassman. So I took a lot of like 18 unit semesters my first 2 years to get to this point. And even
Yeah.
last year when I was an intern during the academic year, I had a pretty loaded plate. My classes are thankfully a little bit less rigorous now because I've gotten to the point where it's a lot of like core classes and more like electives that I want to do. But it's wake up. I go to the gym. I try to stay healthy because it is really important. Health is wealth, and in order to execute properly, I really do value that. I'm go to the gym early in the morning and then change, get ready, prep, and then if it's a Monday or a Friday, go to work. I have an hour commute. I go on the metro. I'm an
Yes.
avid metro. I've been going on the metro since day one. I love public transportation, and it's really effective and efficient for me. I'm at USC, so it's not too far. I metro to work. I'm there, doing the duties, fulfilling the duties of the day. Come back, and then I pretty much do work or call it a day, whatever I have to do. If I have a reel to film for myself, I research it. I write it down, and then during the week it's class, and then whatever gaps of free time I have, I knock out a couple reels, a couple stories that I want to do, knock out some interviews potentially that I want to do. But it is, I think in the beginning it was definitely like a juggling game, and I still struggle with time management a lot. But I've consulted in my mentor Asalia, right, or my boss, and she's given me a lot of pointers on how to be more organized because organization as a journalist is pivotal.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Wow. I mean, I was not doing that when I was in college. But then again, the medium has changed since then. Because when I was in college, I just thought about I wanted to be the next Ryan Seacrest because I loved American Idol so much, and E News was a thing back in the day, but not anymore. Not as it used to be. So yeah, and taking Metro, Conan Nolan always tells his interns that if you take the Metro, you learn about LA, you learn about your audience.
But yeah, and that's important.
Yes, yes, very important. And so I want to talk about, ATVN, because it's daily, if I'm not mistaken.
It's a daily newscast from Monday through Thursday, so it's like a regular, evening newscast.
Okay, so what's the process like you're getting your story? Because when I was at San Jose State University, back in 2012, when I took I guess our news station class, we had a week to prepare a story. Yeah, a couple of days to prepare a story. But it seems like you guys have, I don't know, is it in real time when you get your story assigned that day?
Yeah, it's real time. It basically emulates a real the structure of a real newsroom. I'll say like USC is USC for a reason. It really is the closest thing to the real world. And I've been in both. I've been in the NBC4 newsroom and I've been in ATVNs and their mirror images, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the way it works at USC is we have a director of ATVN. Her name is Stacy Shoulder, wonderful woman, really inspiring and a really great mentor. She's the one that runs the operation. She's like your news director, and she is in charge of teaching students, but also of maintaining the news flow and the judgment of the day. There are four executive producers that are picked beginning of the semester to EP each day, and under those EP of the day, there are three line producers that do a lot of the content and that are in charge of pitching stories and coming up with the newscast and the rundown. So it all starts at 8:30. 8:30 EPs come in and the producers come in and they begin drafting the stories on a whiteboard. Typical. What are the stories of the day? Is it top news, breaking news, politics, global? They go through a filtration process, and based on that board is what we do for the show. HCVN is super structured, so we have a really organized. We're like clockwork. The curriculum is actually built into HCVN. So we have the structure where we have MJs, which are your multimedia journalists. They come in on a shift class. It's a 3 to 4 hour shift class that's built into the curriculum. It's called JUR 206. And you come in and you get assigned a story and you go out there and get content. You film interviews, you get B-roll, all your stuff that you're going to fill in for the VOs and the SOTVOs and all that stuff. Is that's what the MJs do. And that happens from about 8:30 all the way until it's crunch time. And then by then, your anchors come in and they pick a story and they get assigned a story and they start writing the story and they start developing that. If it's an interview, they get interviews and whatnot. Because anchors do stuff here at HTVN as well. Every anchor does their own story, and then from there you talk with the producers. The producers finalize things. You have your video producers, your graphics producers, your regular line producers, lead producers, and everybody does their part into building this newscast that it's daily. And I think part of the beauty of being in Los Angeles and at school like
Mhm.
USC is not only the great curriculum, but the fact that we're in the thick of it. Well, I'm 2 metro stops away from downtown LA. I've done countless stories at City Hall, talking to, I've been to the courtroom, the courthouse so many times. We did Menendez brothers as students. We did a lot of the stories that we covered, the fires, like we're in LA, we're in the thick of it. And I think that that's why this school is unmatched, because it provides something that not everybody has access to. And it
Yes.
provides something that's real. And I've been countless times, dude. I've covered stories for ATVN and I bump into like Balbino. I bump into like all the reporters that I already know, the photogs. And then it's like you're bumping shoulders with people in the real world because you are in the real world. And I think that that adds so much value. And it's one of the reasons why I think I felt it become really easy to understand how this works, because we're
Mhm.
doing the same thing that the pros are doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I saw your newscast yesterday, and you were doing a live walk and talk about the new Dutch Bros that opened near USC. So yeah, you just got your story assigned that day and you just put it together.
Right. I think I came in at like 3:30. We go live during Monday through Wednesday. We have ATVN, and that show goes live at 5:30. And then Thursdays, which is the show that I anchor, it's called See It Live, and it starts a little bit later. It's at 6 p.m., but it's a themed show. So every show has a theme. Politics show, winter show. It all has a theme that producers come up with, and all the stories correspond to that particular theme. But I came in yesterday like 3:30 ish to hear my story, did some research, wrote some talking points to the live shot, and then by the time it's like 4:30, 4:40 ish, we go out, head out, and then we begin doing the run throughs for the live shot. But it's pretty much like pretty standard, yeah.
Okay, and are you guys using professional cameras or phones?
We use professional cameras, and we use also. It's similar to a live view, which we use in the
Mhm.
real world. It's called the TVU, so it's the same thing, same sort of like fiber signal live shot. So we do go live. It's a live shot every single day, which adds to the dimension of like you feel the stress, you feel
Yeah.
like that adrenaline of recreating what a live shot feels like in the field, and prepares you for the future.
I have another question for people who may not be for students who may not be privileged as much as, compared to other journalism schools, compared to USC or the ASUs of the world. What advice would you give to students, trying to, I guess, make the real get content?
I think I've heard in the beginning, I was consulting with a lot of professionals, like a lot of mentors and people who I consider to be just amazing, amazing people. I think, one of the biggest ones is Fernando Hurtado. Fernando left NBC after a great career, and he decided to do his
Yes.
own thing. And he's a teacher at USC, and he's also like a really close mentor of mine. And I always go to him for advice. And the best piece of advice that he gave me, which I put into practice, was just do it, just start. And for any other kids who wanna start doing something, I'd say just do it. If you have an idea, put it into action, see what it looks like. If you're not happy with it, tweak it, make it better. If you love it, keep doing it. The biggest piece of advice and the biggest thing that I've done to just practice and get my reps in is just do it. Create content. I try to create, two reels a week for my own content, for my own self, because it's great practice. It gives you visibility. I've had a couple videos go semi-viral, a couple thousand, tens of thousands of views, which I never expected that to be the case, but you just gotta keep
Yeah.
doing it. It's about trying it out, trying new things. I think also just be curious, get out there. I am a firm believer, you just gotta get in the streets, like get out there, go see what it's like, go see the real world, get your hands dirty. That to me is the best way to learn, because it's genuine, it's true, it's raw, it's gritty. And I think there's no better way of learning than doing that. I think that another thing that is really underrated that I think is I feel like a lot of students, um they kinda see, like, the anchor chairs and, like, the roles where in the student newsrooms and, like, I want that immediately.
Mhm.
And I didn't do that actually. I started off flipping packages when I was a freshman, learning what the formats were, learning how to properly track, how to SOTVO, how to write into SOTs, as opposed to just having choppy packages. That to me was the most formative experience because obviously good reporters make great anchors, but I think learning the process from the beginning, learning how to do the dirty work is the best way to get to those positions. Anybody can look at a camera and talk. Like it's a very easy skill to develop. I think what's hard is learning thorough reporting, learning, educating yourself on specific issues. That to me is like has been my focus now that I'm in college and moving forward. And one of the reasons why I decided to pursue a master's degree
Mhm.
is because I value like education and understanding and knowing what you're talking about and not just looking good, knowing not just looking good talking about something,
Yes.
For me, it's like I value education. I value what the content is far more, I would say, even at this point in my career than delivery, because at the end of the day, like the delivery is going to be good if you know what you're talking about.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I always say the best reporters were people who were assignment editors or producers before they got on camera because, you do, journalism 101. You're doing the research, you're vetting people, you're talking to people.
Yeah.
And then that carries over to you making being a better reporter, down the line. So I always recommend people go the behind the scenes route because it's a good way to, first get those hard skills and then build your reel on your own.
Yeah.
But if you want to start straight on camera, great. But sometimes if you want to take a step back
Yeah.
and just lay in the cut for a while and then pursue it, that's also great as well. But I also want to talk about because I'm sure, are you doing the Spanish broadcast of ATV in this year or no?
Informa TV, yeah, it's still on and it's, Informa TV is a very similar structure. It's not quite in the curriculum just yet. We have a class that leads it,
Hmm.
but it's basically, linear style broadcast in Spanish, very similar pitching process, very similar conceptualization. And it's at a school like USC to have an inaugural Spanish newscast is a really big deal.
And also, I want to talk about diversity because you are part of NAHA. You are a student member of
Right.
NAHA, and you were part of the student projects this past summer. And so, why did you join that organization? What spoke to you to join NAHA?
When I got to USC, I knew that I wanted to pursue journalism. I knew what my career path of choice was. And I was met with countless teachers and professors who were like, "You want to be a journalist and you're Latino? Join NAHJ." NAHJ, and I say this wholeheartedly and with utmost, like I mean it. NAHJ is the greatest organization to ever exist for us, for journalists, for Latino journalists, because first and foremost, it has a legacy.
Hmm.
They just hit 50 years. They're at 52 now. The legacy that it holds in this country is unmatched. The fact that it's an organization that establishes and roots for and advocates for the professionalization of our jobs, and most of all, the representation of Latinos in the media is phenomenal. I think it's something that's one, empowering, and two, provides this sense of community that you wouldn't see anywhere else. I went to the conference. I joined as a freshman, and the first thing I did was apply to a scholarship. In my freshman year, I landed the Ruben Salazar scholarship. Huge, huge benefit, and immediately started to develop those connections within the NHJ network. I had the privilege of starting as a sophomore at NBC4 and Telemundo 52, and that's the same year that Dunia Elvir became president of NHJ nationally, and she's the main anchor at
Yes.
Telemundo 52. I stoked a relationship with her, and we began, and she's a great mentor of mine now also. NAHJ provides this community that's unmatched and that literally without it, I don't think I'd be here. If it's whether it's scholarships, internships, networking, even one-on-one mentorship, NAHJ is, I always say, the most premium
Hmm.
organization for journalists. And every single young Latino journalist that I come across, I tell them, "Are you a part of NAHJ? Join." I'm actually the president here at USC, so it's my role to advocate for our organization to recruit people.
Yes.
I'm really happy to report that this year we've added 5 people to our organization, 6 actually, and completely free of cost. We've been able to fund their yearly,
Wow.
and I think that, NAHJ just a phenomenal job in representing, in professionalizing us, advocating for us, and really just sticking it out for us because Latinos belong in the media like any other people in this country, the world, and we deserve to have, fair and accurate representation in this country and in the media because we're such a vital part of this country.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I was part of NAV, I was, well, gosh, I am an NAVJ member. And unfortunately, I wasn't part of it in college. I only found out about it, when I was graduating. And I wish I knew about it earlier because I just imagine how my career would have been different if I knew there was an organization like that. And you having, you know, getting into this organization very early when your career is just starting is great.
Right.
So I'm just wondering, how do you feel as a Latino journalist, and now especially what's happening in our current news today?
I think being Latino and being a journalist is an honor. It's a privilege. I'm really proud of my heritage. Representation is so important to me, and I think that bridging my two identities is probably one of the biggest superpowers that I've learned I have. For starters, Spanish, this country, 60+% of the country speaks Spanish. Spanish is the second major language in the world globally, or the third, I think, and in this country it's high, it's up there. I think that being able to be a bilingual journalist and cover topics in both languages is such a powerful, powerful thing. Particularly now with immigration, I've covered countless immigration stories where you have to learn how to speak Spanish, right? You have to know, and it's beyond conversational. You have to know how to be in depth and have that cultural competency, which is vital, and that's something that I carry within me from birth. Obviously, I've had that identity for my whole life, but being able to use that and execute it in the career field is priceless. I also think that representation is important because I, for one, looked up to people who were like me, who looked like me, who had the same last name as me, who came from positions like me. Another one of my biggest inspirations, Ana Cabrera, Rosa Flores from MS Now. I look at these powerful, powerful journalists, these women who have been in the field and are really well established, and who are Latina like me, or and understand like the cultural aspects of things, right? And for me, that is empowering, and that's one of the reasons why I've been drawn to this career field is because I've seen the representation, and I've seen Jose Diaz Balart, Julio
Yes.
Vaqueiro, all of these figures, Tom Yamas now, the most recent one, who have these positions, who fill these roles. To me, it's just like I see myself there because it's possible, right? And that's the whole point of representation. It's to inspire the future generations of people. And like I said, to me, I cannot underline and underscore how much of an honor it is to be Latino and to be a journalist in this day and age, and also to be a son of immigrants. To be a first generation student. It's something else. It's something different, and it's a responsibility that I carry with me. And it's my goal to give back to my community, to respond and inform and give back all that they've given to me.
That's great. I mean, I see it for you, Gian. I see it. I know I'm gassing you up so much. But I see it because you just you're intelligent. You are just so passionate. And you have a swag about yourself. Okay. Some journalists lack swag. I'm sorry. Some are. But you just have the swagger about you that is feel it's so universal. And so like you can be like my mom would love you, like even the neighbors down the street who I don't know. I just feel like you have mass appeal and it comes through your work. So I definitely see that. And you're already making an impact now as president of your student chapter of Nahas. Just keep that in the back of your mind because you are really doing fantastic work. And I'm so proud of you.
Thank you so much, Keith. It means a lot, and without the support systems like yourself and others, I wouldn't be where I am. That support, it goes so far, and it really makes a difference, and it's what keeps us going. It's what keeps me going. So I
Yes.
really thank you so much for it. It means a lot. It really
Yeah.
does.
I know, absolutely. And so, this conversation is all about the future of journalism. You are living it. So, where do you see journalism now? And where do you see it in the next 5 or 10 years?
Yeah, it's a great. That's the $1 million question, isn't it? I think socials and digital platforms for sure. There is, I don't know the way it's going to execute or it's going to manifest itself. Of course, nobody does, but I do think that the future relies in this. I think that I've heard this from veterans, and I've heard this from people who've been in the business for so long. And it really has changed the game because now anybody can just do this, and that's the reason why it's so accessible to me. All I did was buy some wireless mics, and I began to make my own content, right? Because it's so accessible, it's so easy. Once again, adhering to those fundamentals of journalism is vital. You cannot disregard the ethics and all the morality that you learn in school and in the field. But I think that social media and digital platforms really do represent and embody where this business is going. Like I said, I couldn't tell you how exactly, nobody can. I think that that's what consultants are for, and I wouldn't be able to tell you that, but I do know that I think that we have to learn to be adaptable and we have to learn to be apt and fluent in social media, in linear, immerse ourselves in as many different manifestations of journalism as we can because that's the name of the game in this business is adaptability. Think on your feet, quick thinking, be fast, be adaptable, and go with the time. So I'm an optimist, so I'm always optimistic about the future, and it helps that I'm going into this, so I have to be optimistic.
Yes.
And I do think that digital platforms and social media have revolutionized and will continue to revolutionize journalism in this country, this world.
Yes. And also just want to follow up, because media companies are trying to get your audience,
Right.
is it Gen Z, Gen Alpha?
Yeah. Gen Z.
Yes, yes. And so what could companies, well, in your opinion, what could they improve on? What are they getting wrong that's not catching your generation's attention? What could they improve on?
I think, for me, and I'll tell you this, I've seen a lot of colleagues and peers my age, a little bit younger even, are gravitating once more towards legacy media because legacy media is getting with the times and they're understanding that they should be meeting people where they're at. And
Mhm.
I've seen, countless publications that are legacy, well established from the 1800s do socials now. And because of that, you have my 17-year-old brother sending me journals or sending me Wall Street Journal reels, sending me New York Times stories from legacy media outlets because he can see it now. And, we can't, I think one of the biggest things is we can't continue to gaslight ourselves as an industry that things aren't changing. I think that when you kinda neglect it and you're like, "Ah, it's fine, it's not gonna affect me," like, that to me is like a detriment. You have to learn to think you have to be real, look at the numbers, and based on those numbers, kinda, like, act on it, right? So I think that meeting people where they are is the best thing that you can do, and understanding that, kids our age don't wanna hear a bunch of, like they don't wanna be talked at. They wanna
Mhm.
be informed. They wanna be and it all starts, we see social media influencers so big and so prevalent a lot of the time, people were like, "I don't even like their content, they're just a cool person. They just sound cool. They're just personable, they're charismatic," whatever the case is. I like them for who they are and beyond, what they're informing me on. I think that to me is really cool. Obviously, it's a fine line because then you have people who you're not sure if they're a journalist. It's
Yeah.
not clear if they're getting sponsored or whatnot. And in those cases, it's really careful. But I think that when media companies understand that you have to get with the times and meet people where they're at, I think that's when the real innovation comes. And I think that's the surefire way to bridge our people and to get and speak to our generation of people who are consuming media this way and who will continue to be the ones who are producing media and adapt for sure.
Okay. And I know when you graduate in 2027, you're going to have your bachelor's, but you're also getting a master's. So, what are you getting your master's in and
Yeah.
why?
So I'm getting a master's at the Gould School of Law. I'm pursuing a master of studies in law. I'm at USC and we have an amazing, amazing immersion program where we can start taking our graduate classes and working towards our graduate degree on undergrad. And for me, it was kind of a no-brainer. I always knew that I wanted to pursue a master's degree, especially because it is so efficient here. And in law specifically because I love law. I think that a lot of my passions lie at the intersection of journalism and law. I
Mhm.
love covering in my own content lawsuits. I love to see whether that's a lawsuit against the state of California or lawsuits against the president or agencies in the government. Following that is super amazing. And I think that any journalist would benefit from having a deeper understanding of the legal system. I think a lot of the curriculums have, like, law of mass communications and your media law classes, and that's great. But for me, I've really valued it. It's something that I always have been interested in and studying it now and really being in it and being in an educational environment like law school is great. Obviously I'm at USC, so the Gould School of Law is a top 20 law school. It's an amazing,
Yeah.
amazing environment. It's a privilege to be at Gould and to be pursuing that and working towards that, to be a double Trojan and have that network also. We always, journalists, we always interview lawyers, we interview policy experts and legal experts. And for me, it's something it's just it's very natural to me. And I also love immigration, and immigration deals a lot with a lot of that jargon and those legalities, which I really benefit from learning a little bit more about. And I've also seen like people in the business have been doing that. I had it was my dream to do this since I was a
Mhm.
freshman, sophomore. But even now, like I've seen recently, like legend, like people who were well established in their careers, veterans of this field, are pursuing their degrees in law simultaneous to being correspondents, and it's real,
Yeah.
it's happening. And I see that, and I'm like, hey, like I'm ahead of the curve. I made an effort to do that while I can. I know that if I were to graduate, I wouldn't come back for a long time, and I definitely wouldn't come back as eager and as hungry as I am now because
Yes.
the older you get, I think. that love for school can often get a little bit muffled, especially if you go into the career field. But for me, it was like, let me be as efficient as possible, and pursue this master of studies in law because to me, I think it'll only deepen my understanding of journalism and allow me to see things in a different way, which at the end of the day is really important in this field.
No, that is smart. I mean, law is very important. I mean, having that skill, I mean, it's a skill, a very hard skill to learn. I mean, I took media law for my master's and I hated it because I just hate going through briefs and cases. Like, this is too much jargon for my understanding. So, but having that skill set is very important because you can break down Supreme Court cases, stuff
Right.
that happened with Meg Thee Stallion or the Menendez
Yeah.
brothers. So,
Yeah.
and it's very important because on web, because I remember I think court reporting became a very big deal, especially in this recent times with the cases of Britney Spears and Megan Thee Stallion, because people were seeking that information. Like, how do you break down the like, with the Diddy stuff that came out
Diddy.
with yes, like how do you explain that?
Yeah. Diddy, Luigi Mangione right now is in
Yes.
it's more common than people think, and I think that I really love that nitty-gritty. I grew up watching Law& and Order, a lot of those shows, so for me, it's like Suits. I don't know, like, I think that I considered going to law school and getting a JD, at one point. I think for right now, my love really is journalism, so I wanna be as efficient as possible, and the master's was kinda like a baby JD, dip my
Yeah.
toes, but not necessarily commit to, like, the 3 years. I wouldn't even be opposed to going to law school in the future. I see wonderful, wonderful influences like Ari Melber from MS Now, Laura
Yes.
Jarrett, NBC Today,
Yes.
real attorneys who are journalists, and to me, that's attractive. I'd love to dabble with that. I think my goal is to be like an analyst at one point, to be like
Yes.
who goes on national TV and talks these issues and helps break them down and analyze them. To me, that's so exciting, and I think that it really represents a really specific interest that I have, and I think that, education is the key to success. I'm a firm believer of it,
Mhm.
and I think that by leveraging it to benefit your career path, I mean, you're doing I think it's a really powerful thing.
No, absolutely. Don't forget Savannah Guthrie,
Man, I got through it, of course.
Laura Coates, Sonny Hostin, multiple people, and I was gonna say, we need to get you to DC to be a Supreme Court intern for NBC.
That'd be awesome. That'd be
Like,
sick.
we need to make that happen. Great. And so, also, I'm gonna go back. So, the internship, because I want to make sure we cover this part. Because how did you get your internship? What was that process like? Because there's students, who may be watching this. I want to intern, at these stations that I grew up watching or legacy stations that could help me. And now you went through the internship process multiple times.
Right.
So what is that like?
Yeah, no, so I got my first internship with NBC when I was a freshman in college. I applied in about January to a bunch of different internships, and I actually heard back from NBC 6 South Florida in Miami. And I got an interview, I did the interview, and in February, I got a call from the recruiter in Miami, and she told me you got the job. The biggest piece of advice that I've told people, and I've been in the company now almost coming on 2 years. I did Miami over the summer. During the summer, I applied for school year at NBCLA. I got it. I did the whole school year at NBCLA. I applied for the summer. I got Telemundo Responde. I did that for the summer, and then my boss really, I'm blessed that she asked me to come back, and now I'm doing a second school year. But I think the biggest piece of advice that I tell people is, first of all, you got to have work samples. I think work samples are everything because they showcase what you can do. You can have the prettiest, the most thought out, the most elaborate resume, but if you have nothing to show for it, what's the point? As you know, you have a reel with reproduction work. I've seen the stuff that you publish. It's your work. You know what you do, and people, employers and recruiters can see exactly what you can do. For me, since day one, I was flipping packages as a freshman, so I had a whole list of YouTube videos on my channel of all my packages and my reports. And obviously, it becomes a little bit more refined. The older you get, and they get better with time. And I always make sure to always submit the best of the best work samples that I think I can offer. That's the biggest thing. Interviews is be passionate, be honest, be genuine. If you are, if you like this and this, talk about it. Don't lie. Don't try to be a facade of who you are. You are yourself, be who you are. And I think if you are genuine and you genuinely convey that passion, they can't say no. And I think it's the best thing you can do. And now that I'm a little bit older and I'm not, I'm thinking not just internship, but I'm thinking employment now
Mhm.
is really understanding like, how to develop meaningful relationships with people, be respectful, to be mindful of everything. And the world is small, as you know, journalism is tiny. Everybody knows each other.
Yeah.
It really is. And understanding how to navigate that is really important. But I think yes, work samples and showing off what you can do is, I think, a surefire way to at least land an interview for sure.
No, that's great. And so we're gonna wrap this up. So besides finals, what is Gian keeping up on?
I'm keeping up on a lot of the latest stuff that's happening in Venezuela. Stuff is crazy. I'm working on a piece about that. And then also one of the biggest headlines for me was the recent student that was deported to Honduras from that.
Yes.
I'm getting in contact with her lawyer, see if I can talk a little bit about her case and hear what he has to say and stuff like that. So a couple of stories on the way, but right now it's finals week, trying to get knock that out and then be back home for Christmas with my folks and enjoy that time.
Okay, that is awesome. Again, hire this man, people. Please, please. 52 or NBC4 can give you a part-time CP job while you're still finishing out your master's. I don't know. I need to see. You're doing fantastic work.
Awesome.
This is a great conversation, Gian. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
It's an honor to be even considered for this, man. It means a lot, and I really appreciate all your support. It's so life changing, man. It really means a lot. Thank you so much.
No, absolutely, absolutely. I was an intern in your space years ago, reaching out, being a mentor. I like to give back. And so I'm just, again, I have no notes, no notes at all. I mean, the only thing I always tell my friend, well, you're very ambitious. Just keep your ego in check. That's the only thing.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah. Big
And
thing.
where can people follow you?
People can follow me. I'm pretty active on social media. On Instagram, I'm at Gian M Velasquez. Pretty simple. And then on LinkedIn, I'm at Gianmarco Velasquez on LinkedIn. I am hoping to launch a TikTok soon because I heard that you get pretty good views there. So TikTok is next. It'd probably be the same user as my Instagram. But yeah, those are pretty much the places you can find me best.
Okay, awesome. Also get a YouTube. I learned that from Fernando.
I do
YouTube.
I do have a YouTube actually. My YouTube is Gianmarco Velasquez also.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much, Gian. And remember, you can follow me at Keeping Up with Keith on all my platforms. That's on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. So, Gian, thank you so much. And everyone, have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you.